Hello, so here's my first reflective practice journal. We're looking through the techniques of knowledge. I'm just reflecting on my first couple of weeks on my foundation placement, and my main focus here was reflecting on the importance of lesson objectives and what I've learned in my first few weeks. So, first of all, just looking at knowledge. Ross and Matthews, 2010, said that knowledge is the understanding or information of awareness of a matter of fact or an issue. They also went on to describe the 5 ways of knowing, which is a dimension of looking at different ways we know and know ideas, for example. So first is the belief, which is something which we believe to be true, and these are sometimes strong beliefs which can be hard to change. So from my experience here, I've just looked at, I understand the importance of learning objectives, and when I was at school throughout all my key stages and when I've been assessed or on placements previously, I've identified the importance of learning objectives at all key stages. So yeah, also knowing the importance of lesson planning when I have done previous placements. It is clearly important to have a structure to what we're doing and to ensure that we deliver a suitable lesson to meet and challenge our students. Just moving on to authoritative knowledge. This is something which we believe to be true because we're convinced by someone of higher authority. So, for example, a lecturer or a teacher. So within these first couple of weeks, our mentors and lecturers have given a big focus, and we spent a good few days just only on lesson objectives, which clearly identifies the importance of them and making sure they're right to challenge our students and to adapt the right teaching style to meet their needs. Therefore, we have the approach of so planning for our learning objectives will lead to a high level of student engagement and hopefully maximise their learning, as we're actually targeting something which we're looking to get out of them is something which I've learned over the last couple of weeks. And also it can be used as a progress check, which is important in one of the standards. So it is, we can monitor our student progress to make sure they are progressing. So just moving on to the experiential knowing, which is built up over experience over many years. So as I said, I've reflected on what I've worked through throughout my previous experiences, through my knowing that highlights the importance of planning, and obviously without lesson objectives, it sometimes lacks focus, which is not good for lessons, as obviously students don't know what they're working towards, which will have a negative effect on their learning. Something which I've learned, especially through experiences over the last couple of weeks, is that lessons should be planned with the learning objectives at the start, instead of just having the lesson planned and the learning objectives to fit our planned lessons. That's something which has been really highlighted to me in the last couple of weeks. So that's good. However, despite this, I felt, and the importance of learning objectives, I've noticed that, especially in the last couple of days in my first foundation placement, that the learning objectives hasn't been highly implemented into lessons. So that means that they're not showing the importance. However, this sort of goes against my beliefs and what we've been taught. Some of the learning objectives would be just included right at the end of the lesson, where they'll just be told, and so the students don't have a focus. Looking onto the theoretical, so just looking onto the theoretical idea of knowing. This is just theory or set of ideas which has helped work out a response to a problem or explain an aspect of the social world, which is Ross and Matthews said in their article, in their book even. So this idea can help us look at learning objectives through Bloom's taxonomy. This theory allows us to, if we have our learning objectives set out before we plan effectively, that means we can challenge our students through the higher end of Bloom's taxonomy. And this support Adams in 2015 when it says that Bloom's taxonomy promotes learning objectives to allow higher order thinking and deeper learning, which obviously we try and get out of our students. So just looking on to our final element of our 5 ways of knowing, the empirical, which is the idea of knowledge is based on available research. So research suggests the importance of learning objectives, and obviously it's highlighted throughout our teaching, through our planning, that we have to have suitable learning objectives to meet our lesson. Otherwise, students won't have a focus and they won't learn effectively. So this is sorted by Fortley and Savage in 2013 when they said learning objectives allows lessons to follow a structure and focus, which are effective to our teaching in their planning. So that just sort of sums up what I've learned about learning objectives, especially over the last couple of weeks, and how I've come about knowing these ideas about learning objectives. However, it's not just one element which is more important than the other. I feel that they all implement and help you believe or help you gain that knowledge of a certain aspect. So over the last couple of weeks, just looking at my foundation placements, learning objectives were implemented very rarely. However, this is something which I look to change, as through looking at this model of knowing, I've identified and the importance of learning objectives. So they will be integral in my planning and my teaching pedagogy to hopefully maximise the student learning and hopefully work them through the higher ends of Bloom's taxonomy. So just learning objectives are very important, I feel. So here's my reference list for my Reflective Practice Journal. Just want to apologise if it was a bit jumpy. I could only film 5 minutes and have to do another film. It's the first time using the software. So here we go, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.